the Jinx first pick to come out for the side of TT, but no, they do just acknowledge that Frigid is very comfortable on this pick.
That doesn't show acknowledgement. I don't know what does, but you give away the pick you just talked about. The Jinx up and available. Lyric also, Lucas is great on champions like Taric, we know is his pocket, but won't go too far away from things like Thresh, and that'd be a good denial of SouthWind.
Oh, I'd love to see the Thresh come out for Lucas. Once again, talking about players and their best champions, I think that is Lucas's best champion from what we saw in 2021. And it's also one of the picks that enables SouthWind to not only peel for his AD carry with things like the Lantern in the box, but also gives him room to make initiative. And I think that's always been one of the areas where SouthWind struggles. But no, instantly just going to go towards the Jinx and the Corki. Corki 5-2 right now over the past 3 days. Has had a lot of impactful games with his diverse ability in terms of build and just how you're able to play out the game. So I think TT with a solid 2 picks.
Corey got absolutely smacked in lane the other day on FPX and then just won a team fight with 1 rocket. So that's the damage the Corki can do here as they picked up 2 ADs on the other side. IG, though, an early Gwen lyric without the top lane matchup to go into.
Yeah, so for IG, I would expect him now to ban out some of these top laners, instantly taking away the Tryndamere. A little bit surprising to me because I feel like we'd be more likely to see that one put into the mid lane as some kind of niche counter pick rather than just come out against Gwen. Jax, also something that is still up and available that we've seen picked into Gwen a few times that IG might feel comfortable banning out. But we need to remember that New hasn't really been set up on any team he's played on over the past few years to take on more of a carry role.
Can I also just say, while we're talking about bans, the Thresh we mentioned very early on, which has had so much priority in other drafts, is still to the wayside. We're getting solo lane bans here at Lyric, but there's no support for either team, and it's Red's first pick coming out of the bans, so is this a direction for TT? Do you have to get rid of something that Lucas can thrive on in the 2v2?
I mean, in my opinion, you both have immobile AD carries. Again, it's almost both of your supports' best champion and some of their most played champions coming in. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense to let it go through. Here, I wonder if IG even picks it, or if they're just like, hey, you're already showing your mid laner. We'll just go with our own long-range mage to come through. You always can go towards something like the Victor, which I feel like has been the go-to matchup that we've seen so far in the LPL, and then save your support pick last to look for the counter.
Is that a call out? Is that a call out here? Or we see the Vayne hover just to call out the previous members as Vex gets locked in. Here we go again. 3rd game of Vex if I'm correct. And still again, that support left to the last pick for Invictus Gaming, which means TT get their wish. They get the support SouthWind also thrives on that we've just been harping on about.
Yeah, for TT, I think you do have more wiggle room to play with for the fact that you have that Corki as well. So having 2, I'd say, very strong scaling artillery pieces. So the Lulu making a bit more sense here rather than I think for IG side where I think the Thresh would do a bit more work. And then going to round out with the Camille. So one thing I instantly gravitate to is very strong side laning coming out for the TT comp. Scales incredibly well. If they can get to those late game team fights, it will be scary for IG.
And I'll tell you what, Lyric, I mean, Corki already talked about the success as well. LPL Camille's hit different, and it means that for New, he might be in a very different position considering that we talked about he hasn't given agency in previous compositions, previous rosters. Let's highlight quickly, Lucas on the Rakan, so Thresh does fly through. What does IG's comp scream to you if TT's is all about the solo lanes and all about some of that scaling element?
Yeah, IG's somewhat trying to match them in that department, right? Because they do have the Aphelios and they have the Gwen. I feel like the area where IG's comp will outshine TT's is definitely coming through early game skirmishing with mid-jungle. Vex, amazing at some of these mid-game skirmishes. You're very easily able to move around the map with your ultimate. Lee Sin, of course, we know how strong he is looking for these early ganks and early 2v2s and 3v3s. So for IG, I think you're looking to break open the map through that and hopefully go into the mid-game with an advantage. Because I think once we get into mid-game, again, those side lanes from the side of TT will be very annoying to deal with.
Play towards that mid-game, otherwise for TT, the scaling we talked about. Talking about the side lanes as well, an important detail. Look to take over. TT's early game was their strongest point, Lyric, so in a very different direction here. We're going to see if they can transition, stall this game out, because OMG took advantage of the fact that TT's decision-making moving forward didn't really go anywhere. But for Invictus Gaming, this is the first time we're seeing them on Summoner's Rift for 2022. It's a brand new roster. Lucas, Shun, neny, yes, somewhat familiar names, but the Shy and Rookie aren't here. We're going to see if IG can still bring the same mojo that you and Munchables are so much a fan of. Honestly, as a, previous IG, what was I, Lyric? I stated that,
you were
IG,
a connoisseur.
Yeah, connoisseur, that's right. I'm curious to see where this could go, and honestly, against TT, it's as great a match in any to open up the day. So we head on to Summoner's Rift, and we're going to be talking a lot about how IG can get the game moving before TT get to that late game state. Before those side lanes jump into action, it's a pleasure to have you here as the scenery keeps on changing. And, Lyric, 4 days of LPL now. What day is it? It is Thursday, so I was correct. And a lot of these picks we're seeing consistently. People would call the meta stale, but we're getting small additions here and there, like the Camille. The Vex popping in and out as well. Things like Lulu, Rakan as well. Exciting to see there's a bit of flavor being added to each game.
Yeah, I feel like there's really only two roles that seem hard set into what you're picking every game, right? And it's jungle and AD carry. We're pretty much seeing the two AD carries on our screen and the two junglers on our screen right now. Every game we've had so far, also a lot of Corki, but mid, top, and support definitely feel wide open depending on what composition you do want to end up with. And looking at these comps in the early game, I feel like TP should have the stronger bot lane matchup coming in. You have range advantage on support. Rakan also very squishy, so later on when Rakan starts to go in, you can just look to polymorph him, get some good Jinx and Lulu damage down, win out the trade through there. So for TT, once again, I think prioritize your bot lane. You're going to win out in lane, get them some wards, look to counter gank or set up a bounce if you can to set that up. For IG, we've already hit on where they want to go. So two different places on the map for each team.
Well, for now, it looks like it is going to be a bottom side start path in top, but Frigid is going buff to buff here, Lyric. Does this indicate anything to you? Should I be expecting Frigid to try the counter jungle or just set himself up for an early top?
I wonder if Frigid would want to look for that. And so neny obviously is a ward, so he would be fine if the gank does come through. Frigid would lose a lot of time. The fact that he did go from red to blue points out that he wants to end up back towards that bottom lane, which is something that we know to expect with the lane that they did draft. So I think overall TP's pathing makes sense according to the lanes that they've drafted. The bigger question mark is what Shun will do, right? Because even though we've said, hey, we want you to focus mid-jungle, Corki's a very safe champion. Like, Captain should just sit back, look to farm with his Q and his E, and he should be fine, has the Valkyrie to dodge any ganks that come through. So it feels like a lot of it's going to be about Shun leaning towards mid, and then Yuekai looking for these windows to roam, and maybe looking to catch Frigid off guard when he's hovering around bot, picking him off, and then turning that into a winning bottom side.
See how he could wrap because he's been spotted on a ward. I think the important part is that TT know exactly where this Lee Sin's gone. And he's heading up towards the top of the map, so Frigid once again moving down. There's a ward on his red buff, but there's no buff there. So right now, unspotted, heading towards the bottom side. Not sure if unspotted is a word, but scuttle crab time for Frigid, and going to be set up for the bottom lane that we talked about that is now pushing in.
And he's not going to have to do anything. They should know that Shun has path up towards the top side from the early information that they did have. So just recall is going to come out for now. The TT bottom lane still just winning in CS. They should be able to chunk out some turret plates. And pretty smooth first 4 minutes for the side of TT, which is definitely a big plus for them. And for IG, I mean, just not a lot of movement able to be had, I think, until you hit that level 6 point with Vex, which is definitely when she comes online in terms of her mobility around the map.
So should I be looking out for neutrals, like the first couple of neutrals for IG? Is that what you set up for when you talk about level 6? Big moments, actually, for everyone on their team. Is it early neutral control? Is it early objective control that sets you up? Especially if you can find an angle in this top lane.
Ooh, yeah, this would be quite nice if Shun was able to do it. neny playing very respectfully, so that isn't going to come out. I think in terms of early objectives, you're definitely looking at ET being a bit favored in terms of the fact that they have very close trade coming up from neny. The fact that TT's bot lane has push, so they should consistently have vision over Dragon. Since their bottom lane has push as well, that means that they can move first. Though when we're talking about moving first, right, Rakan as a champion who has mobility and has engage potential will be a lot more impactful if we're seeing something like an early Rift Herald or early Dragon fight rather than the Lulu coming through for SouthWind.
Also want to point out that it makes sense with the person playing it as well. As yes, it is a Chemtech Dragon, one of the new dragons to start off there as well. Remember that a lot of pros not liking this one at the moment, Lyric. The fact that the percentage health damage is a pain to deal with. Detail right now. IG getting ready to go on the bottom lane. That's grabbing him. The flash away won't save him as down at the bottom lane. Puff's going to be the focus. It's Ignite down and first blood. Over to Xiaoyueji. Welcome to the LPL. Good sir.
Really nice gank set up by IG. TT stacking up that wave to crash into the side of IG. I'm not sure if IG have spotted out Frigid on the ward that they had around Raptors to know that he wouldn't be there. But obviously Shun still finding a nice angle knowing that, you know, Frigid should be there. And they're now going to be able to turn this into the Dragon that we said, hey, since TT have control, they're the ones who are going to consistently have vision on this objective and it should be theirs. But IG taking it away from them.
Yeah, Sonic Wave's going to come through. Remember, there's a smite here. Frigid going to be a little bit late as Chemtech Dragon starts the game off into an Infernal. We can't really guess what's going to be next, right? Remember, it was a 50-50 before. If we got an Ocean start, then a Cloud. Lyric, it was like, okay, it's Mountain or it's Infernal. You know, or Ocean, whatever the one I missed. But now, we're literally 25% in guessing. So, I don't know, man. It spices things up a little bit. But we just know that anything else is on the table. You feel me?
Yeah, I was talking to some friends I have that are coaches and players about the Dragons now, and a lot of them just talked about how, well, now we have to consciously play for Drakes more because we don't know if it's going to end up, you know, being something like a Hextech Soul or a Chemtech Soul, or before, pro players really just over-indexed on the Infernal, but now there's a lot more, we'll say aesthetically pleasing, because I think some of the other Souls were definitely undervalued by players before, so yeah, you're going to see a lot more teams focusing Dragons because, like you said, they have no idea what the odds are of a super OP Dragon Soul coming onto the Rift.
Yeah, spices up competitive just that little bit extra. 4 minutes till we talk about it again, guys. 7 minutes into the game, so Herald's up in one more. I want to point out, Lyric, there's something big happening on the map that we've kind of been watching, but also we've been focusing a lot on TT's bottom lane, the early gank, a 1k gold lead for RG, but I think that gold lead's coming straight out of top. That's a 20 CS league Gwen. Neny's styling on you right now and having a pretty good laning phase.
And it all comes back from the prior trades that we were shown where New got chunked out so low, Neny was able to push him off a wave, zone him off of some of the CS, been able to keep up strength ever since. And I think this has opened up a lot of options for IG, so where you can even technically play both sides of the map at the same time, to where if Shun can hover around the spot side, as we see both junglers here now.
It's a Beatty's at half health. The 80 carry of IG needs to get out of there, but Xiaoyueji goes down. Frigid takes the kill. And patience a virtue for the TT jungler to get one back.
Yeah, nice setup from TT. A little bit surprised or confused what IG were planning on doing because, I mean, Shun looked like he was waiting in the wings. We saw Yuekai hovering down as well, so I'm not sure if miscommunication or IG's bottom lane walking a bit too far forward too soon in preparation for the other members of IG to answer. But TT are able to pick that one up. IG now, though, going to try and find a pick to set them up for Rift Herald. Captain paying a lot of respect, though.
But Captain, I believe that's packaged on that skin, as I've actually seen that skin recently. So Captain holding on to it, going to be hard to take him down. More importantly as well, talk about the Rift Herald as Yuekai is just trying to clear the wave through mid. Frigid's moved up. This looks to be a contest, Lyric. There is a ward on it too, and Shun's going to drop his own.
I mean, for the side of IG, they have to get this one up, right? You look at the mini-map, Xiaoyueji and Lucas not here yet. They are going to start heading up now. They're going to be extremely late on this. I think TT definitely secured themselves to Herald. The question is if IG's bottom lane gets here in time to where IG can try to force some kind of winning fight off of this, but it seems like so much time wasted when you could have been pushing the bottom tower.
Well, Neny's going to at least run in anyway. Frigid gets the Herald with a kick back as well, gets him out. There's the ulti. A two-man fear from Yuekai. It's beautiful, but follow-up necessary as the quickness comes in. Frigid goes down. One for the Herald. TT will still take their chance.
Yeah, I think TT overall still fine. You lost one member. You did lose out on a bunch of CS in the XP bot lane, but at the same time, IG's bot lane gave up the same when they decided to move as well. So overall, I'd say decently even trade coming through. A bit inefficient for both sides. But hey, Frigid does a Rift Hill.
Right, he does. Doesn't need to press the B button. There's a quick back. And we'll look again because Captain started this with his own. But IG still wanted to fight.
Yeah, IG just realizing, hey, we will have enough time to stall with them just doing the Rift Hill to look for this fight. neny getting exhausted right away, and June kind of kicking Frigid away a bit to safety. Still sets up for Yuekai to fly in with the ultimate, is able to get the fear off. And Frigid not having a flash after the one he just burnt means he's just going to go down.
A very nice Doom there, waiting for the passive from Yuekai. Ultimate almost back up and available to try again, but as we come back to Summon's Rift, as we come back to live, IG still maintaining the 1k gold lead. Dragon's up in 30 seconds, but the Herald is a power play from TT waiting in action. And IG's bottom lane matching TT's up towards top side, Lyric. Again, movement, an important subject that we've been talking about, especially since IG want to keep momentum up and get that second Dragon.
Yeah, for both teams, I think you want to be looking to transition your bot lane back down towards the bottom half of the map since Dragon is coming up. TT ahead on the play. They've already gotten recalls off, and they're going to start moving down there now. IG, though, finally pushing out that wave, just going to make their way mid. This will give them mid prio as well, since Aphelios and Rakan will be here, and will easily set up for IG to get vision down towards bottom side and start up this objective. New does have TP, though, so this could very quickly devolve into a 5v5.
He's got a Sheen and Phage, and both summoners are available. Mention the teleport there as well. We're not to unleash teleport. That's the other big thing, Lyric. Yes, TP to a turret. So, because teleport's changed, it's like, well, I've got to commit very far away, and the second Dragon's just given over to Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, and now TT looking for a bit of a cheeky play. Frigid has no camps up, so sneakily comes in from behind the wave, waiting for Xiaoyueji or Lucas to overextend. Can easily pivot that to a Herald play and get some more gold onto your G's.
It's fake. I think it's definitely fake. There's 2 members of IG down here. Jungler towards the bottom side as well, spotted on a ward. And it looks like Frigid's going to commit to the back. I believe Shun was walking over the ward here, so TT didn't want to take the risk. They play it safe, and remember, this is what we talked about in draft. Lyric, you mentioned the fact that it gets to late. The side lane pressure is going to be huge from TT, and more importantly as well, so many good scaling elements. They're going to be hard for IG to deal with.
All I know is you said it was fake, but it wasn't fake. It was a real recall Hysterics.
Second one was real.
Because in the LPL, we're all about being real.
Yeah.
You know, those facades you put out when you're in public or with your friends, your family, your significant other, that doesn't fly here. You be the true degenerate that you were always meant to be.
Dude, I let everyone know I'm a degenerate. I literally started the show by saying I'd get from Gold 4 to Challenger. Only a true degenerate would make that claim and be proud of it. I mean, honestly, if
I mean, we aren't going to go into this rabbit hole, but again, you have made a content piece called The Bed, so we'll go to that one, but that one definitely shows how much of a degenerate you are. As, hey, guess what? Both teams posturing around mid now. TT looking like they want to use a Herald. They have numbers advantage, so they should be able to do this for free.
Yes, I won't get a reply.
Xiaoyueji still very far away.
To the degenerate conversation. Appreciate that, Lyric.
Nope.
Herald's going to be put down, though. Shun here with a quick hit. The eye's been knuckled, but it still gets a bit of a Herald charge. Frigid picks up the gold. They get what they came for, Lyric. Gold narrowed a tiny bit, but remember, IG still supporting 2,000 gold in their lead, with solo laners that are doing pretty well, with bot lane that's 10 CS ahead as well. I think for Invictus Gaming, Lyric, you're happy with the start of this game, but you want to start building momentum. So my question to you is how?
Oh, I think for IG, they're in a great place. We can already see them trying to set up a potential top dive onto New. Pause. Get it.
Kick into the wall. Sonic wave. That's clean. No X-Deck ultimate for you as the teleport finally comes through. It ain't unleashed, so Captain only had one choice. Sonic wave doesn't connect. They need to work behind. There's the ulti. Oh my god, it hits. Yuekai take people with him as well. Oh, I thought Frigid was coming for the ride, but he instead decided to kill Shun on the way in.
Yeah, sadly does end up being a 1-for-1, but like you said, really sick ultimate coming out from Yuekai to make sure they get that second kill. And going back to just how this lends itself to the overarching conversation for both teams, when we were highlighting things like Camille being a standout for TT in soul lanes, when you're getting dove like this, when you're just losing out in straight up 1v1, and neny is so much stronger than you, I think IG are positioned to just be ahead for the foreseeable future of this game. Really nice ultimate here coming out onto Captain. Shun trying to get away with the ward hop in the end, but isn't able to.
Oh,
I think it ultimately ends up being a 1-for-2. Still, though, New lost a bunch more CS on that wave. It all died to turret. He had no way of getting back to lane, and your Camille is now just further and further behind.
It's so satisfying, though, and another topic, watching a Vex go cross-map, and I know the ulti's not as big as something like a Super Mega Death Rocket, which is global, even Twisted Fate ulti, but watching that Shadow Surge hit from far range, predicting someone's movement, it's a very satisfying ability now in League of Legends, so nice to watch Yuekai pick up his first kill. Xiaoyueji down in the bottom lane. Look at this. Turret for the taking with Calibrum. Jungle support there too, Lyric. It's going to open up the bottom side of the map for Dragon coming up while TT decide to trade off for the next Herald.
I mean, you even just look at the map right now, right? IG have complete control in terms of vision coverage. The whole bottom side jungle is warded out. They even have some wards around top side as well, so they knew exactly what TT was doing. Right now, they're just hovering around top side because TP did just pick up that Herald to try to anticipate any counter plays. That's why we do see Lucas in the top side jungle right now. TT not going to opt into that, though. So we are just going to see some resets come out, pivot down towards that bottom side. But IG are going to know everything that's going on. They should be able to have first track on this Dragon. TPs are now unleashed, so we can start to see some of those flanks come out onto those wards instead of for a big team fight for Invictus Gaming.
And I'm tracking items here because we've got one item pretty much from every core carry. Support's excluded in this conversation. A mana immune that's almost a mirror mana, about 60 stacks away. Sorry, 60 mana, I should say. From Captain, with a Noon Quiver in the inventory as well. Looks like we've got Crit Corki coming out while neny, he has a teleport available, Lyric, but he's going to get the turret in the meantime. Herald placed into the mid lane. A lot happening with the map state as this Dragon sits waiting.
Yeah, but still, look at your mini-map. Yuekai is roaming over. The TP coming out from neny now. IG want to fight.
Oh, Lucas got the ulti as well. There's Shadow Surge right on in for a two-man gloom. That's a reset. Long distance onto Captain almost for another, but a two-man grabs him ulti. Pause, only one. Puff gets flashed on as well. Xiaoyueji! That's the IG spirit we know and love, with 3 members instantly dead from TT. No, I was right. It's 4 with Yuekai carrying on this Vex.
And I really like the setup coming out from IG. They got the vision from the prior play, had the ward set up for the TP flanks. We see Yuekai give the bottom wave early so we can start to roam, so we can guarantee that they have numbers advantage, and IG just completely clap them. They're going to steal away camps, they're going to get another turret on top of it, and now this gold lead is massive.
This is a great start for IG in the 2022 year. The team that's got a lot of rookies on, as this started with comeback gold, but comeback was from Yuekai with a two-man fear.
I mean, just really nice by Lucas to start off, lock people down. They bring Yuekai in to land that fear. neny coming from the backside with a massive ult across 2 members. And then Xiaoyueji flashing in to finish off the kill. And poor Captain, Yuekai waiting in the wings, being a little bit sneaky to solidify the 4 kills that IG picked up.
Dude, I don't know why you'd walk up to, the brush there, Lyric. It's COVID times. You need personal space, and if you walk into someone's personal space, that's kind of what happens. Yuekai picking up his 2nd kill of the game, 2-0-3, 5 out of 8 kill participation, if I get my words out, is not bad, and we can say that about neny as well. IG solo laners, Lyric, you said the momentum was going to be on them in this game. The pressure, I should mention, we shun at the wing. And it's been great from not just them, but every IG member we've seen in these fights.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, I mean, neny as well, doing such a massive amount by just creating so much pressure on the top side of the map, not giving TT any options. They constantly kept it warded out so Frigid couldn't find any ganks up towards that side. We knew that Yuekai would have early pressure in this matchup. Once again, Captain just kind of being relegated to sitting and farming under his turret, and it gave IG so many options. IG have been playing around their vision phenomenally. They pretty much had the map covered this whole game, and now for IG, they're just covering neny as he pushes outside, because no neutral objective up on the map right now. GT are pushed so far into their base, it's really hard to find kills unless they go forward.
Well, it's a wild growth for Shun going in for the Sonic Wave. Yuekai on the wing. Remember that Shadow Surge is back up and available. And I believe Doom is at the ready. Yes, it is as of now. Down in the bottom lane, News trying to push out the wave. Get some authority for TT, because once again, the early game looked quite competitive. It was only 1k gold lead for Invictus Gaming, make it 2 by the 15-minute mark. But Lyric, it's blown up once again in TT's faces. And you just have to say that there's so much promise in the early game, but it's hard to see the transition from TT and where it all goes wrong.
Yeah, for TT, it's also interesting, right? Because we've seen IG be the team to come out ahead in gold, despite the fact that IG were the team not going for Rift Heralds. They were stacking up these dragons. We talked about how much more impactful it feels to do that this year than it did before, but still TT not really able to find any meaningful foothold in terms of gold. Their only real winning place point of pressure on the map was bot side, and they weren't able to open that one up after that early gate coming from Shun to set the pace. So for TT now, it feels like your only goal is to turtle. Get defensive wards down in your jungle. They already have some, but we need to start seeing some of these IG wards cleared out. Buy times to get to your big power spikes, because you look at Captain, still doesn't even have his mythic picked up just yet, and wait for that 3-item mark where people like Puff and Captain can potentially take over a fight.
Again,
at a 6k gold deficit though, Hysterics looks pretty hard.
It is hard, but again, coming back to what you said in pick ban, just one more reiteration. You talked about how it's going to be in the side lanes in the late game, how especially for the Corki, the Camille, importantly how Puff is going to be safe, and the scaling elements on this team. Well, RG have some to their own as, hang on a minute, Captain might be in trouble. Ready for the needlework? He wasn't. He flashed away. Frigid now coming in, but that Xin Zhao does not want to deal with Snip Snip. At this point, that's two members of the top side Lyric, and IG once again asserting dominance, so we may not even get to that late game discussion.
I was going to say, like, we are so far beyond the point of TT being able to think about side lanes. Both their side lanes are losing so heavily. They can't win against either Gwen or Vex. I guess Camille, as we can see, can fare against Vex, but still have to be incredibly careful.
Can this be a solo
Yuekai
kill?
Looking for it.
Well, personal space use. Yuekai, remember, he has the Shadow Surge, and it can go through. Waiting for that Doom to come up, but Yu's just going to back away. Yuekai not going to be taking it this time around. That's a lot of burst damage now with the Shadow Flame picked up as well. 2-item Vex with the stopwatch. It's going to be Teamfight City for IG in about 25 seconds, because this is an Ocean Soul given over to a team that has Aphelios, that has Gwen, that has Elise.
And they have so much set up. They have AoE. They have AoE lockdown coming through as well with your Rakan. I feel like it should be impossible for TT to be able to walk into the bottom side river. Looks like IG, though, being respectful, they think, hey, we can take Dragon on the bottom half of the map. We want to make sure no shenanigans go down top side in terms of objective bounties, either with top turret or with something like a Baron, as Captain is going to be able to get away with his TP.
Yeah. Had to use the TP away, though. That's significant. Dragon going to be picked up. The easiest Ocean Soul I think we've all seen for season 2022. It's just gone. And now Elder's going to be up in about 6 minutes. Baron is live. And Lyric again, IG continue to assert dominance here in their new roster. It's good to see. We were talking about it a little bit before. It's a bit of a mismatch, right? We've got Shun, neny left over. Shun now the franchise player. You'd have to call him. Lucas still on the roster, but these are still relatively new enough players where people always identified IG by the Shy, by Rookie. In the past, we remember Jackie Love and Baolan. Those players are no more. We've got these new upstarts who are absolutely dominating TT in this first game.
I'm just trying to remember if I have them in playoffs in my power rank, because I think I did. I think I was crazy enough to believe in IG for no reason, but looks like IG gonna potentially look for a fight, but Frigid knows he just has to get the hell out of there. Flashes over the wall, and now, I mean, for IG, it's just gonna be grouping up and start pushing down some of these structures. For the side of TT, I mean, you have decent wave clear coming out from your Jinx and your Corki. You're probably going to need to sync up with your side waves as the side of IG and let neny pressure in that 1v1. Then we're just going to see IG just rotate between both lanes, try and spread TP thin to where you can break down one of these turrets.
Looks so difficult at this point. I want to put a side note in. I forgot one player in Ning, but now in the top side, Yuekai on top of you once again. That was the Shadow Surge. And now the cooldown's down. Gives some opportunity for TT, but how much of an opportunity are we talking about with the top lane inhibitor dropping alongside the turret? IG with this Ocean Soul, healing it all back up. And for TT, look at this. They can do nothing but sit in their base and cower. 4 minutes till the Elder. Do we make it that far?
I think we do. I think when looking at TT and IG on paper, I would expect You know, maybe neny goes bot right now. You try and push down one more turret. You again play that juggling game of having your 3-4 man push mid and rotate down. Maybe you get one more turret, but I think breaking base should be quite hard unless TT massively overstep. And for the side of IG, I also want to highlight that, sure, it is against a TT roster that should come in expected to be among the bottom tier of teams. I still think the fact that IG have looked this solid is quite impressive. They are not coming in with a massive amount of veterancy or star power behind them as well. They've taken a relatively clean game so far.
Because some of the elements we talked about, like Lucas syncing up with Xun, I don't think we've talked about it much this game, but to be fair, it's been a lot about some of these Stark fights coming through. More about the pickoffs as well when Xun came to the bottom lane, but Lucas has been syncing up with his jungler once again. We talked about him having the highest jungle proximity out of any support last year. And for Invictus Gaming, you know, once again, those two linking up, great synergy with the rest of the team, is bringing on this game #1 winners. There's the ulti again from Yuekai. Underneath turret, there's some good damage coming out of TT, but look at the response. Yuekai hits Captain once, and he's near half HP. He's into the backline. The kick before the polymorph. And it's Xiaoyueji who picks up yet another kill on SouthWind. Xun is front-lining this. The ultimate misses. Xiaoyueji getting close, but it might not matter in the end. Baron coming through. They have the Ocean Soul. Again, it's a Lee Sin who still hasn't died. One Nexus turret hits its maker. And IG staring at the other. Yuekai still in here with flash available, waiting for that Doom to come through. Personal space to give a shield, but doesn't need it for now. Gets it, sends them backwards, and TT lose yet another. This is tough. Dropping to the Nexus, and IG are in for the win. As against TT, they tried their heart out in the early game, but Invictus Gaming pulled off fights like no other. The Nexus will drop down, and game 1, a sure thing for the new Invictus Gaming.
IG gotta pad stats when you can. Especially when we talked about the dynamic of, right? The players like Lucas, Xun, heck, even neny, they've been on a team with SouthWind and Puff before, so I'm sure we're gonna have a bit of fun there. Solid showing. We were already hitting on it a little bit. I think Xun coming out strong. We saw nice setup towards that bot lane gank when I assume they had no information that frigid could be there with the wards that they did have down. We saw really nice setup even later on with the wards to get those flanks behind the side of TT. They started their roams earlier. They knew they'd have a numbers advantage. And from there on forward, the game really just was all IG. Heck, even highlighting neny, getting so far ahead in that 1v1, Camille couldn't even play the game.
Lane was good. We saw Yuekai in the mid lane. You know, he had a decent laning phase. And then when we got to some of the skirmishes, the impact he had with the 2-man Doom, the huge ultis coming out as well. I think he needs to be praised, and I think for IG, we didn't really expect them to come together as complete as this. And yes, it's only one game, it's only one piece of data, guys. We can't jump to conclusion being like, wow, this team's better than top esports, this team's better than LNG. They are going up against TT, who a lot have looked at as a mid to bottom tier team. But importantly enough, the elements came together, Lyric, and every single lane looked reasonably solid and quite concrete.
Yeah, and we can already see the difference in damages coming out. I think especially when you look at top lane, right? How much neny was doing and how much he just took new out of the game, like we just highlighted. Sure, yeah. Captain's damage is high, but he was playing Corki, just spamming, being able to spam things like rockets, and even in lane, Vex not having too much 1v1 threat on him. But overall, it was the way that IG moved together. You already highlighted some of the movements that Yuekai had with his Vex ultimates, obviously sniping out Captain in that top lane dive, and just really the way IG came together as a unit, which is one of the things when you lose big stars like the Shine rookie, maybe it gives more breathing room for other people to feel more comfortable to communicate or talk about how they should play the game, or for IG's coaching staff to step in and give them a new or more concrete idea, right? It kind of leaves a void that allows you to reinvent yourself however you want, and it looks like IG are at least starting to take advantage of that.
And expectations are an interesting thing, aren't they? When you had Rookie in the Shy, you had high expectations, you won Worlds. The expectations kept going up. It's like for EDG this split, we have insane expectations after beating the team from Korea that everyone thought was going to take them down to Delma. Just saying. And now we're with an IG that has pretty much next to no expectations, and they're performing well. So exciting stuff ahead. We'll see if they can continue that over the line against TT in game 2, or if TT got some fire to spit back out to survive themselves being